Bruce Brewer, a young tenor from San Antonio, Texas, who's beginning to make his mark in opera houses both here and abroad. His early studies with the famous Italian tenor Tito Schipa started him on the difficult path of mastering the Bel Canto style of singing. Further study led him more and more into the florid music of the 19th century and a fascination for the legendary voice of the tenor Rubini, for whom much of that music was written. During Bruce's recent appearance in Cosi Tutte by the Opera Society of Washington, he spoke with Robert Bailey about the Rubini opera roles.
They were mostly high, florid, although after a while, floridity, even though Rubini was many times an over-ornamentor, if you understand what I mean. He ornamented his music too much. And then he met and fell under the influence of Bellini and Donizetti, who were not, they wrote a lot of ornamentation into their music, but they were not asking really for a great deal of ornamentation, at least the ornamentation which obscured their melodies. That's what they were really fighting against, and so he really took this up as a banner of the time, and being the most important singer of his time gave him the power to give a new, plainer, less ornamented style to the opera of the time. And you hear so many times in the writings of people like Chopin and Thalberg and Berlioz, so many people say things like, I had never heard this opera before I heard it with Rubini singing. Rubini's singing brought tears to my eyes. It's always those things which are said. People like Liszt, who made a tour of Europe with Rubini, playing the piano for him. I mean, that speaks for itself, I think. And he wrote the 3 sonnets, Petrarch, for him. You find these things that are indisputable facts of what this man was as a singer. So I figured that was the way to go.
Do you think there are many people today interested in that period of music and singing that period of music in the style that it was originally intended? Is there an interest growing in this, or do you kind of feel like you're leading a one-man band?
Well, it's a one-man band in many aspects, because it's very hard to get back to this style, because the Caruso syndrome is very, very, very strong. But I just think that this music has been beaten to death because they're trying to put the Caruso type, the idiom of Caruso, in where it isn't wanted.
Well, now, you recently took part in a performance of I Puritani, which I believe you mentioned earlier was the role of Arturo in that opera was written for Rubini. Tell us a bit about the circumstances that brought about that performance and sort of how you thought about this in terms of your Rubini style.
Well, this is
here a little bit from that French National Radio broadcast of I Puritani in which you took part. What do you suggest that we hear, Bruce?
I would think the final scene of this. It's where the F occurs, and it's a little strange to hear the first time.
the final moments of Bellini's I Puritani from the 1972 French National Radio production, featuring tenor Bruce Brewer. This is NPR, National Public Radio.